All right, let's have a quick chat, but not as the king of leads, not as the guy with all the results, not as the mentor, but as the man who has crawled through every stage that you're stuck in right now as an entrepreneur. Because here's the truth that nobody wants to say out loud. People fall in love with the version of you that's polished, but they trust the version of you that's honest. So let me start there, because I didn't grow up with much advantages, right? I grew up with pressure. People see the studio, they see the numbers, they see the screenshots of 100 to 500K a month. They see the trips, the private jets, the masterminds, but they don't see the foundation, right? And my mom worked 2 and 3 jobs at the same time as a single parent and a nurse, and she's still my secret weapon. And that's because she's a praying mom, right? And I say this with all full respect, man. A praying mom is a cheat code. And I grew up watching her grind through life and grit with a ton of resilience. No handouts, no shortcuts, just 100% commitment to make sure that I was given the best. And it taught me so much in the younger days that I use now. And if you're gonna change your life, this is gonna change because you change it, right? It's not gonna be because of talent, not because of luck, not because of timing. It's gonna be because of responsibility. Now I digress, right? So I wasn't born an entrepreneur, and I was trained for survival. So people assume that I just came out, of the womb with a business plan. And not even close, because before all of this, I was a busboy. I was waiting tables, late nights, small tips, tired feet, and a big dream. And every table that I wiped, every plate that I carried, I heard the same voice in my head, is that you were meant for more than this, right? But knowing that you're meant for more and having the tools that's gonna get you there was the challenge, right? But knowing that you're meant for more and having the tools to get there, yeah, that's 2 completely different things. And for a while, I only had the knowing, but not the tools. Life insurance didn't introduce me to the business, it introduced me to hell. Cold calling, door knocking, bad leads, chargebacks, empty pipelines, chasing, no-shows, more importantly, disappointment and survival mode. I would wake up at 4:40 every single morning just to stay ahead of losing to driving traffic from Hendersonville to Murfreesboro, right? You've seen the motivational videos, right? That say you wake up early and grind. Yeah, well, I was grinding, I just wasn't winning. There's a difference, right? There's a painful one when your bank account hits a negative $90 like mine did, or when you're on an air mattress in a 1-bedroom apartment with no furniture, or when you're buying diapers with corns, right? This grind doesn't feel awesome. It doesn't feel noble. It's actually humiliating. And I question myself every single day. Why isn't this working for me? Because it wasn't for lack of effort. It wasn't for lack of hunger. It was because I lacked the wrong model. Now, I can still remember to this day, March of 2018, buying this $2,000 course from Sam Muffins, and it changed everything. And even though I couldn't afford it, I still clicked buy, and my card declined twice. So I had to borrow $900 from my mom. And that still humbles me today, because that wasn't just a course. It was oxygen. It was hope. It was permission. It was a blueprint. And within 6 months, I became a machine. Library books, YouTube, frameworks, late nights, and early mornings, trial, error, and a ton of breakthroughs. Now, slowly but painfully, things started to kind of pick up and to make sense. And that was my pivotal point, right? Not success, but direction. And then something wild happened. When it finally clicked, it clicked loud. And I went from barely surviving to building one of the fastest growing consulting companies in the insurance space. $30,000 months, $50,000 months, $100,000, $200,000, $500,000, right? And again, I say $500K a month, and I don't mean hype. I mean like not revenue, but like cash collected. People flying in, buying programs, signing deals, posting wins. And my name started to be a household name, right, that I'd never been in before. And, I became what they call now the king of leads, because I had built a system. But here's the part that most people don't know. When you scale too fast without the identity and the foundation to match it, life will humble you. Because at the peak, when everything looked perfect on the outside, I took the biggest hit of my life. 6 figures, multiple 6 figures, $500,000 in chargebacks, accounts frozen, Stripe shut down, cash evaporated, like that overnight. And not because I was bad, but because I had scaled with cracks in the foundation. And chaos exposes everything. And that was my internal collapse moment, right? The one that you do not forget, because you don't measure an entrepreneur by what they build, you measure them by what they survive. And that collapse, the evolution that built the man that you're watching right now. But the thing was, I needed to learn from somebody who had receipts. And in that room, Sam told me something that that didn't land until years later is that you don't scale by adding, you scale by removing. Removing the noise, removing the chaos, removing the complexity, removing everything that slows you down. At that time, I didn't understand it, but now it's the foundation of everything that I teach. I know I'm going on a tangent, so I digress. Okay, so after surviving all of that, I realized something very, very powerful. Insurance wasn't my final calling. Entrepreneurs were. Entrepreneurs stuck in the painful loop of 8 to 30K, right? Overworking, under-earning, overthinking, under-clarified with pressure, chaos, shame, and confusion. And people don't have business problems like Sam Ovens says. They have personal problems that reflect in their business. And that is when it hit me. My real mission is helping you to escape the 9 to 9 trap that you've crawled into by not giving you more, but stripping away everything that's keeping you stuck. And that's why I created the Consultant Accelerator one-to-one model, right? That identity first approach, the simple, lean, high profit architecture where I actually get inside of your business, not just throw you in some shitty course, right? With a clean foundation, a tightening up your offer, installing systems, raising your standards and removing the chaos, and then ultimately upgrading you as an entrepreneur to running the show, but not as a guru, as the man who's lived your story that you're stuck in. So today, I'm a mentor, a father, a husband, an operator, a strategist, the king of leads, the guy that people call when everything else is not working and they're tired of relying on themselves. You see, I've helped entrepreneurs to produce over $100 million in sales. I've scaled companies to $500,000 a month. I've coached over 1,200 entrepreneurs. I've built offers that's changed families, not just bank accounts. It's impact over income at this point. But the part that I'm the most proud of is that I kept going, I kept learning, I kept evolving, and I became the man that I needed when I was drowning. And I don't even know why I'm making this video, but I felt like I needed to share this because now I'm the person to help you to become the man too. And I want to warn you, right? I go on tangents on this channel and everything, but I go down all sides of the roads because I want you to remember something, right? It's because I'm going to share my experience because I've been through what you're going through right now. And the truth is that pressure is your first teacher. And the truth that nobody wants to admit in this space is that most of us didn't grow up with privilege. We grew up with pressure. My mom wasn't reading personal development books. She was working 2 or 3 jobs at the same time. She wasn't preaching entrepreneurship. She was praying that the lights would stay on. And if you've ever lived in a house where faith was the only insurance policy that you have, then you know exactly what I'm feeling, right? Because you learn early that if life is going to change, then you're going to have to be the one to change it. Nobody's coming to save you. No mentor, no grant, no lucky break, just you. And that's why people like us become entrepreneurs, because we didn't chase freedom, we chased relief. But I'll come back to that, right? So I didn't find entrepreneurship. Survival pushed me into it. Because before all the business stuff, I was a waiter, I was a busboy, I was a food runner. I was literally just the order taker, right? Feet was hurting, my back was screaming, and I wasn't dreaming about funnels. I was actually just thinking about making that next $40 tip. And though I hated it, those years taught me one of the most important skills that I could learn as an entrepreneur, which is understanding people, anticipating needs, right? Understanding people's tone, their tells, their fears, their hesitation, their energy. And most people kind of skip over this part of this human to human connection. And they just jump right into the high income skills. But the real income, the real skills comes from being able to read a room. Does that make sense? So life insurance didn't introduce me to the business. It introduced me to hell, right? If you ever worked in insurance, you know what I'm talking about. And you already feel the pain in your chest just reading and understanding and hearing this line, right? 4:40 a.m. wake-up calls, cold calls while your voice is still cracking early in the morning, dialing leads, right, that 5 other agents have already blown through, chargebacks that hit only in the months when it's slow, and managers just telling you to work harder, right? And you're doing that for 12 hours a day. That was my life. I was the guy staying late just in case somebody answered. The guy convincing himself that more effort equaled more success. The guy thinking, why is this so hard, right? What am I missing? And then that moment that I'll never forget, right? The negative $90 in my account, the kind of negative that makes you question your whole existence. Living and sleeping on an air mattress, no furniture, no money, ego gone, no hope. And it's funny because people ask me, why was I so disciplined, right? And it's because discipline wasn't an option, right? Discipline was survival. Discipline was the only thing that I could afford. Now, let me be honest, that $2,000 that I paid for that course, right? Like, I gambled on myself, but I had no other choice. $2,000 for a course, right? It wasn't an investment into Sam Ovens, it was an investment into myself, right? I had to borrow the money from my mom, but that decision changed my life, and I just want to kind of share that with you because it wasn't some magical course. It showed me something that I'd never seen before. It was systems, structure, acquisition, offers, messaging, but more importantly, the math, right? The things that nobody in the insurance industry had ever taught me. So at that point, I went from cold calling strangers all day to understanding how to create demand instead of chasing it. And once you see behind the curtain, you can never unsee it. I became obsessed and I studied every single night. I tested everything. I published content. And the truth is, I failed a lot. I learned a lot. And then I iterated, and slowly but surely, finally, things started moving. And people love to talk about overnight success, but they never show you the 10 years before that overnight success happens. And when things started working for me, they took off, right? Again, we went from 0 to 10K, and 10K to 100K, and 100K to $1 million. And we were just helping insurance agents revolutionize the industry back in 2019. And at that point, right, like, I thought I had made it. It really changed my life because I realized the impact of the things that I thought, even when I was struggling, like it started to work. But let me tell you something. I scaled so fast that at my peak, right, like I scaled the business, but I hadn't scaled the entrepreneur. And I heard Alex Hormozi say this a couple of times, but it didn't really resonate with me because I was like, oh, I'm already past that stage. I had skipped it and had such a exponential growth that I didn't realize that I didn't have the systems to back up the growth that I had. And that's the reason why I'm sharing this video with you, because here's the thing that I want you to understand is that if you've ever had some setback in life or in business, that collapse isn't punishment, it's graduation. It forces you to have an identity upgrade, because the best version of me or you that built a business to 10K or 100K is not the version that's going to get you to the next level. You can't sustain it. And this is the part that nobody talks about. Success exposes your identity faster than failure does, right? And Sam Ovens just wasn't a mentor, he was a mirror. So let me take you back to that moment, right? So before the collapse, I spent the $36K on learning from Sam Ovens, and I was in a room with some killers, right? It was Cole Gordon, Alex Becker, Andrew Kirby, even Iman was in that group, right? So we get on Zoom calls and you see the recordings of all of these people, all scaling to a level that I couldn't even imagine. And Sam was quiet, calm, and surgical. And he said something that I didn't understand for years. He says you don't scale by adding more, it's by removing. And the reason why I keep coming back to this is because we're in this bro scaling phase where entrepreneurs are just trying to scale to the moon, and you're scaling your business, but you're not scaling your identity, right? You need systems. You need to be able to handle complexity. You need to be handled stress. You need people that can handle many roles in your business. You need to build a team, right? You need to be a better copywriter. You need to be a better recruitment of talent. And I didn't understand this because paid ads was helping me to scale so much. And one of the things I want to share with you is on this channel, as I'm sharing my story, is that a lot of lessons that I learned from Sam Ovens is you need to scale with systems, right? And the importance of scaling as an entrepreneur. And I said this on one of my most famous reels, is that your ability to break through your glass ceiling is going to come directly and be correlated from your ability to manage stress. And as an entrepreneur, there's going to be stress and strain in the business that's going to surpass the growth that you have. And if you aren't able to manage stress, you're going to burn out. And nobody wants to talk about this. Everybody wants to talk about scaling. And I'm all for scaling, but I also want to share the message that the thing that has helped me scale my business to 100K months every single month since 2019 and all the way up to a 500K month in my agency is systems. Having the right infrastructure in your business, because it's not how much money you make, it's how much money you keep. And the number that most entrepreneurs don't talk about is that profit number. They talk about how much money you can make, but they don't talk about how much profit that you make. And so with this channel, I want to shift your identity from bro scaler to a true entrepreneur, a true savant of entrepreneurship. And so I built this model that I wish I had when I was drowning, because it's not just about courses, it's not just about group programs, it's not just about the noise, it's about one-on-one mentorship to help you, a stuck entrepreneur, to scale the right way. Because I know where you were, right? And I understand that nobody talks about these things. Everybody shoves you into a group program or a course and gives you some crappy CSR. But the truth is you need one specific diagnosis for a specific problem. And that one unlock can help you take your business to the next level. You don't need more information. You don't need to learn a different funnel. You don't need to rewrite some sales copy. There's one specific diagnosis that you need, and you need to be prescribed that. And that only happens on a one-on-one basis. And so that's why I created the Consultant Accelerator. So if you're a consultant, coach, or an entrepreneur, and you're stuck between that 8 to 30K per month, and you want to learn from somebody that's learned from the Godfather of coaching, Sam Ovens, and not just be thrown into some course, and you want to work with someone one-on-one to help make sure that the things that you're doing, the road that you're on, is paved specifically for you. This is my story and my journey. Click the link if you want to get more information. Hope this video has been valuable. Don't know why I really created it, but I just wanted to kind of share some of my thoughts. All right, I'll see you in the next video.